my name is Becky. I'm in my third year at UBC and I'm studying accounting.
Hi, this is Taya, and this is my fourth year in UBC. My major is Asian Study.
We believe that knowing yourself well is beneficial to your own development. We'll use informal learning tools such as quizzes to discover more about ourselves. We took tests to discover how we communicate, our leadership style, and our learning style. At the end of the video, once we have a complete understanding, we will assess what habits we need to change to learn better. We will all have to learn how to manage ourselves. We will all have to learn how to develop ourselves. We will all have to learn where to place ourselves where we can make the greatest contribution. So why not start today? Peter Drucker was a management consultant, a professor, and an established author. We borrowed ideas from his book, Managing Oneself. He said that people know very little about their strengths and a lot about their weaknesses. So we wanted to find our strengths and improve it and tell you why it's important. A quote from his book is, "Success comes to those who know themselves, their strengths, their values, and how they best perform." According to Carl Jung's theory of psychological types, people are dominant in either of these dimensions. These are bipolar dimensions where each pole represents a different preference. People are either extroverted or introverted. For perception, they're either sensing or intuition, and for judging, they're either thinking or feeling. Isabel Briggs Myers, a researcher and practitioner of Jung's theory, proposed that there is a fourth dimension, influence personality type, and that is judging versus perceiving. Each of these four dimensions have two extreme poles, and one side dominates a person, thus giving us 16 different combinations and 16 different personality types.
My results were INTP, introverted, intuitive, thinking, and perceiving. I'm highly independent and value working by my own rules. In terms of relationships with coworkers, teachers, I'm more respectful and cooperative with teachers, coworkers who consistently show the intelligence, expertise, and fairness. In terms of studying, I need to be well organized and have logically developed courses of study. I appreciate independent learning, which allow me to gain mastery with a subject by myself through research and analysis.
ESFJ stands for extrovert, sensing, feeling, judging. These people are entertainers. They enjoy traditions, customs, and giving back to others. Individuals of this personality type enjoy being in charge. They see problems clearly and delegate easily. These people are indecisive about decisions, but have a strong sense of right and wrong. By nature, they wear their hearts on their sleeve, often revealing their emotions. These people are very conscientious about their surroundings, so they serve as excellent protectors, outstanding in fields such as medical care and elementary education. We took a communication style quiz that was modified from Carla Rigger, a professional speaking coach. The possible outcomes were demonstrators, asserters, contemplators, and narrators.
My communication style is the narrator. This means that I communicate through stories and analogies. I tend to use emotional appeals in my stories, which help to engage the reader. I try to focus on proving a point while backing up arguments with specific examples, allusions, and analogies.
So my communication style is a demonstrator. Demonstrators are people-oriented, fast-paced, and enthusiastic. They usually have more open and casual body language, and they tend to be animated and very outgoing. They prefer an informal atmosphere. Demonstrators can be very outrageous, spontaneous, excitable, and sociable. So how do you recognize a demonstrator? Well, they tend to be somewhat disorganized, have trouble being on time and keeping track of detail. They take initiative in the conversation, enjoy having fun, and like talking about themselves. We We found a website that was developed for experienced post-secondary educators who want to find out more about online teaching and how to be effective, successful, and happy online instructors. We took a quiz to find out our own teaching styles, and the different categories are formal authority, demonstrator, facilitator, and delegator.
For the teaching style, I'm a facilitator. This means that I focus on learning and engaging activities in the classroom that centers around students. This means that I encourage students to take the initiative in activities. I would first teach the learning objective, then base an engaging and inclusive learning activity to reinforce this knowledge. I try to emphasize discovery and independence. My analytical and reflective nature makes me want to have an open-ended, comprehensive, and discovery-oriented classroom. This means using active learning to ensure that students will be independent, critical thinkers.
So my teaching style is formal authority. Individuals who have the style tend to focus on content and are very teacher-centered, where the teacher feels responsible for providing and controlling the flow of the content, and the student is expected to receive the content. Teachers with this teaching style are not concerned with the relationship building with their students, nor do they think it's important for students to form relationships with other students. This type of teacher usually doesn't require much student participation. We took a test from educationplanner.org, and it tested us on our learning style. The results were a weighted percentage of these three learning styles: auditor, visual, and tactile. We chose just to present our strongest score.
As a tactile learner, I have a very unique way of studying. I study best by writing my own notes and summaries in the form of study guides. I like to use a variety of colors for my notes to emphasize key terms and special topics. The downside to this method is that it is very time consuming, which takes me a long time to complete my notes. Here are something that tactile learners can do to learn better. Do lots of hand-on activities. It's okay to walk around while reading or studying. Take frequent breaks during readings or studying periods.
As a visual learner, I learn by reading or seeing pictures. I understand and remember things when I see them or by using methods that focus on visuals. To remember something, I need to visualize it. I'll have difficulty with spoken directions and become really distracted by sounds. I'm usually attracted to color and stories that are rich in imagery. Some things that can help visual learners like me to learn better is to write down keywords, ideas, or instructions, draw pictures to help explain new concepts, color code things, and avoid distractions during study times.
My leadership style is bureaucratic. This means I am highly rigid in adhering to rules and regulations. I feel that this leadership style developed because I value the safety of my coworkers and subordinates and want to prevent any activity that could occur from carelessness. The downside to this leadership style is that it is ineffective for tasks or teams that require creativity or innovation.
Autocratic leaders, also known as authoritarian leaders, provide clear expectations for what needs to be done, how it should be done, and when it should be done. This style of leadership strongly focuses on command and control, and there is also a clear division between leaders and followers. Authoritarian leaders make decisions independently with little or no input from the rest of the group. Researchers have found that this decision-making was less creative under this leadership style and can be viewed as controlling or create an uncomfortable atmosphere. Authoritarian leadership is best applied to situations when there's little time for group decision-making or when the leader is the most knowledgeable member of the group. This autocratic approach can be a good thing when decisive and quick decisions need to be made. So we took the Richard Steps Strengths and Weaknesses aptitude test. It told us our top 5 strengths and our biggest weakness and how we can improve each one.
My top 5 strengths are focus, determination, risk taking, visionary, and salesmanship. My greatest weakness is balance. To build on my strength for focus, I will actively set goals with specific timelines and figure out concrete ways to achieve them. Since change is tough for me, I will ensure I talk and plan for change. To strengthen my determination, I will constantly be on the lookout for new goals and improvements. To improve my salesmanship, I will make it a point to meet new people every day. I will continually work on remembering names and faces. I will consistently build on my charisma for my career. To work on my weakness, I will actively take time out to prioritize my tasks and goals. I will continue my development by scheduling to attend a time management seminar and to incorporate the learnings in my daily routines.
So, my top strengths are determination, innovation, curiosity, leadership, and ambition. My biggest weakness is problem solving. To build on my strength of curiosity, I'll take on active roles that require me to stay current in a fast moving field. I'm always going to be on the hunt for a richer learning environment. I'm going to surround myself with people who continuously push me to learn more. And I will set aside time and resources for continued education, training, seminars, and e learning. To improve my weakness, I will try to learn as much as possible about decision making strategies. I'm going to allow for time to make decisions that include high levels of detail. Going back to Peter Drucker, there's a few things we want you to take away from this presentation, and that is to do things well, you need to have a deep understanding of yourself, not only your strengths, but also your weaknesses, and also how you learn, how you work with others, what your values are, and how you can make the greatest contribution. One way to discover your strengths is through feedback analysis. When you're about to make a key decision or take a key action, write down what you expect will happen. And 6 to 12 months later, compare the actual results with your expectations. Over time, you should have an understanding of where your strengths lie and what you're not so great at. I really enjoyed doing the quizzes and discovering more about myself. I personally really enjoy learning in informal ways in casual atmospheres. And with all this new knowledge, I'm definitely going to try to use some of the things I learned about myself and apply it to my own study habits. For example, the learning style quiz told me I'm very dominant in visual learning. After finding that out, I did realize that I perform better in classes where I sit in the front row. I'm definitely going to start working on my organization skills and overall just trying to find a visual method that really works well for me. When it comes to informal learning, I have a very humanistic approach. I really enjoy focusing on my personal development and my growth, and I really hope to one day achieve self-actualization.
That there are many different styles and personalities that a teacher must learn how to teach and appeal to. Finding more about myself enabled me to become the best teacher I could possibly for my students. Understanding my style of communication and learning will allow me to see my own strengths and weaknesses. Prior to taking this class, I was hesitant about my ability to teach adults. After finding out characteristics about myself, I find that I can use the knowledge I gained to design and teach adults in a classroom setting. This process taught me to view education as a lifelong process where adults bring a variety of experiences and knowledge to the classroom. The diverse skill sets and personalities of adult learners makes for a challenging yet worthwhile teaching experience.
One of the results that surprised me was my teaching style. I got formal authority. And this surprised me because I actually don't like learning in that way. But when I critically reflect and think back on my childhood, I think that I adopted a formal authority teaching style because In elementary, I didn't have much of a relationship with any of my teachers, so that might be why I emulate this teaching style. I think if I were to become an educator, I naturally adopt a functionalist approach to teaching. However, I would personally enjoy learning in a more casual atmosphere.
Prior to taking the learning style test, I thought I was a visual learner and would always read through my notes and textbooks. However, the knowledge I retained from my study session was minimal. After seeing an improvement in my midterm grades, I will continue to build up on my tactile learning style by writing short summaries in class and at home. In addition, I also realized my style of leadership was highly regimented, which contrasted with narration. I find that this seems to be contradictory at first, but then I realized my style of leadership contained a degree of flexibility. In a leadership position, I try to avoid making rash decisions and try to obtain as much information as possible. I have a strong belief in gaining the knowledge and opinions of others before making an important decision.